Hey guys, welcome back to Unapologetic Book Nerd. Today is June wrap up. I'm going to talk about all the books that I read this month. Alright, so first I'm going to start with a couple of confessions. I don't buy every book that I read. I borrow books, I go to the library, I listen to them on audiobooks. So that's going to be a compilation of all that. One day I am going to do a video of just about me ranting about this expectation to always buy your own book. I will have an entire episode talking about the library app and cheap ways of reading books without always having to buy more books. Amazon and Barnes & Nobles and all those other major bookstores don't actually help small bookstores or even publishers and authors themselves. So I'm going to have an entire episode talking about that and the other ways you can support book industries and authors directly. So without further ado, let's start. This month I read all 3 of the current The School for Good and Evil books. So as you can tell, I got this from half price. The first book I borrowed from my friend, who I've mentioned a lot on this channel, Yall. I'll link down her channel down below. Again, this is the second book, The School for Good and Evil, A World Without Princes, and I listened to the third book on audio. So overall, if you don't know, The School for Good and Evil is a highly acclaimed middle grade book that kind of takes the fairy tale retelling and really expands it. Basically, it's about Sophie and Agatha, who are 2 girls who couldn't be any more opposite, who get chosen, or more like kidnapped, to go to the School for Good and Evil, where they train to be villains and princesses. However, although such a simple plot, it actually really unravels itself and has a lot of commentary on gender roles, on the expectation of how beauty equals niceness, toxic ideas of fairy tales. Those kind of things really do start to unravel themselves as the books go along. So that's a really fun element, as well, just like the friendship and the development of the friendship between Agatha and Sophie is something that is really fun to read. The series is a really good exploration of self and identity among the labels that people throw out on you. I remember reading these books and thinking, my God, this series would have been a way better series for me to read instead of probably Pretty Little Liars or the Click series, which actually romanticizes sometimes toxic ideas of friendship and relationship. Trials of Apollo, the newest book and the second book of the Apollo series. It follows the Lost Hero series, but the Lost Hero characters are not the main characters in this book. They are featured in this series, and it's always really fun to read about them. But it's actually about Apollo and his master, because he's not the sidekick, a 12-year-old girl who kind of kicks his ass and tells him what to do. Another really good thing about Trials of Apollo, if you're looking for a good LGBTQ book, especially one for kids and for middle grade, this is a great book. It features bisexual characters and gay characters in a realistic light and in a healthy light for kids, and I extremely recommend it. Another book that I read and still am reading because I'm kind of a slow reader and I don't give a fuck is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. It is a really quick read. It might look dense and classic, but it actually has really short chapters, so I'm going through it quickly. Very good. It is intense, but I'm gonna say it's not as intense as I thought it will be, mostly because of all the hype. I'm gonna have another video discussing about the gender politics in this, because I don't agree with all the gender politics, especially about the representation in this book. For a book about feminism and a book about kind of the patriarchy and the oppression of the patriarchy, it doesn't mention at all how the patriarchy affects women of color or people of color differently. And I think that's a big element in a lot of feminist literature that is just missing out. That's a really good criticism to have about books like The Handmaid's Tale. So other books that I read this week that I don't have with me is The Hate You Give. I had an entire discussion talk with my sister. Quick review, I loved it, and you should see the discussion talk. So as you can tell, it's not a lot of books that I read. Mostly because I am kind of a slow reader, but I'm also a reader that takes a lot of breaks. Unless the book is really good, I can literally read for 5 hours straight and not do anything. But most of the time, I'm not doing that. I'm also really busy with 2 different jobs and doing a bunch of things. Most of the time, I don't have the time to sit down and read. But I do love reading. I'm still going to have videos about reading. I just kind of want a more realistic expectation for some people out there who relate to me. I understand when I see booktubers who have big stacks of wrap-ups in 1 month, I'm astounded. Like, how can you read 8 books a month? Jesus. And here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with you if you're like me, who's a slow reader and who isn't that diligent, and there's nothing wrong with you if you're a fast reader. I just want this to be a channel where everyone can feel welcomed and not feel as if they're slow or as if they're not good of readers just because they're not able to read as many books in 1 month. So this is for you guys. So let me know, what are your favorite books that you read this month? What are some books that you recommend? And what do you think of the books that I mentioned? This is a quick video, but I'm really happy that you have come and see this. Have a great day. I can't wait to see you guys again. Bye.